Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about an interesting concept called constructor. As the name says, constructor helps us to construct an object. So what do I mean by that is, let's just see a quick good example. So we have a class called car. So what does a car has? A year, a year that it was produced, a model, the car's name, for example BMW, and RGB colors, parameters, like from 0 to 1. So it would be better to write them in doubles, not integers, since they can be floating numbers too. So we have created an object called car. So we have a car, and what do I do with this object? We need to somehow say that this object has a year of 1990, or let's say has a model of BMW. How do we initialize? So a very logical answer would be just to access a year object and try to initialize this one. Yeah, if you try to run this one, so it will quickly show that there is some error. So what's an error? It says a year is a private member of a car. So it's a private. We do usually will have a lot of private members of the class, but let's see what's gonna happen if we make it public. So yeah, it's gonna compile, and we can use it. Well, we can use this object and do whatever we want, but usually members are private. They are private, and we need to somehow initialize this. So to initialize them, there are a lot of ways. There are, like, you can, for example, make some function, getter or setter functions, to access those variables. But there are also one way to initialize that, and that is a constructor. So what's a constructor do is it is basically initialize the whole object. So how do we create a constructor for the class? Simply by writing the name of the class, we can access its constructor. So for example, if you have class car, we would write a car function inside the class to make a constructor. So in this example, it will be like this. So we have created a constructor, and we by default our constructor is this. It would be like hidden, but by default it doesn't do anything. That's why, like, there is no difference between this constructor and the default constructor. So that's why we can say that this is default constructor. But we can customize this constructor by, for example, giving to this function some values. For example, given year, and we make and now, since we're inside the class, we can access any members of the class. So we can access year and make this, and instead of writing here, we can write here, like open brackets, two brackets, and close them, write the values and close them. So yeah, now we can quickly compile. Yeah, there are no errors. It means like it's working as expected. We can even make sure that our year is like if we have a getter function, if we will write a get year function and try to return a year and try to output a car get year, then as you might guess, it will output 2000, since we are initializing here a year as a 2000. But let's try to make something else, BMW, and here we do given model, and you're gonna do just like this. So yeah, it's basically this is a constructor. And one more very cool feature of the constructor is that we can give default values for the parameters in the constructor, just like in the classes. So let's say we are giving 2000 and BMW, and we want to access a member called model, and it's gonna be model, and if you run it, yeah, so as you might expect, yeah, let's return a model here, and now we're gonna see the, oh yeah, it will be a string, it should be a string, so it's gonna be 2000 and BMW, and yeah, so everything is fine. And another thing that we can do is give default values. For example, here we can write the Mercedes, and if run, it will be exactly the same as before. But if you don't include a BMW here, it will be by default always give us a value of Mercedes for the model. And that's it. And what we can do for the RGB, we can always make the car as a blue car. For example, let's say our factory only produces a blue cars, so in that case our all cars would be blue. So why to bother to add RGB arguments to the constructor? Instead we can just make by default 0, 0, 1. By that I mean 0 for R, 0 for G, and 1 for B, and our car will be always give the color of blue. So that's basically it about constructors. I hope it was very useful for you, and next time we're gonna see more interesting things about C++. Bye.